How the 1917 Ford Model TT revolutionized transportation. Ever wondered why your car has a steering wheel at the front, an engine under the hood, and why trucks dominate the logistics world today? The answer lies over a century ago, in a vehicle born out of necessity, practicality, and a bold vision of the future. That vehicle was the Ford Model TT, a machine that didn't just carry cargo, but carried the dreams of a rapidly changing world. In 1917, as America stood on the brink of industrial transformation and global conflict, Ford unveiled a simple yet revolutionary vehicle that would redefine how the world moved goods, connected cities, and built economies. The Model TT wasn't flashy. It wasn't a car you bought to impress your neighbors. But it was the truck that built America, and its influence still echoes through every heavy-duty hauler, delivery van, and long-haul semi on the road today. Before the Model TT, automobiles were largely a novelty. They were expensive, unreliable, and ill-suited for the demands of industrial work. Trucks, if they existed, were usually carriages with engines awkwardly bolted on, primitive, slow, and fragile. Ford saw an opportunity not just to create a vehicle, but to create a solution. Built on the sturdy bones of the wildly successful Model T, the TT was a vision of utility, designed from the ground up for hard labor. It had a reinforced chassis, stronger rear axle, and could handle a full ton of cargo, unheard of for a vehicle at the time. It was born in the same spirit as the Model T, simple, affordable, rugged, and reliable. But where the T put America on wheels, the TT put it to work. This wasn't just about moving boxes or barrels. The Model TT enabled farmers to get their crops to markets faster, allowed construction crews to haul tools and materials to remote job sites, and gave small businesses a way to expand their reach. It was the missing link between urban centers and rural America, connecting communities in ways previously unimaginable. Imagine a time when freight moved by horse-drawn wagons, and then picture the leap in efficiency when the Model TT rolled into town. Suddenly, goods that took days to transport could arrive in hours. Fresh produce stayed fresh. Materials arrived on time. Businesses grew. The Model TT wasn't just a truck, it was economic acceleration on four wheels. And while its rugged performance was a revelation, the real revolution was under the surface, in how it was made. The Model TT was an extension of Ford's groundbreaking assembly line techniques, introduced earlier with the Model T. This wasn't just mass production, it was precision manufacturing at a scale never seen before. Every TT that rolled off the line was a clone of the one before it, built with consistency and efficiency. This not only lowered costs, but also set the standard for the modern automotive industry. The idea that vehicles could be affordable, uniform, and built quickly was revolutionary. Today's automotive giants, from Detroit to Tokyo, still follow the path Henry Ford paved with the TT. But its impact didn't stop at the factory gates. The Model TT became the blueprint for every commercial vehicle that followed. Its simple, modular design allowed for endless customization. You could outfit it as a delivery van, a dump truck, a flatbed, or even an early ambulance. Local blacksmiths and mechanics modified TTs to suit the unique needs of their towns and trades, giving rise to a culture of utility that lives on in today's pickup trucks and work vans. In many ways, the TT was the first truly versatile work vehicle, an industrial Swiss Army knife on wheels. Its influence also extended beyond just business and industry. The Model TT played a critical role in World War I, helping transport supplies, equipment, and troops. It proved that motorized vehicles could outperform horse-drawn carts on the battlefield, changing military logistics forever. After the war, many surplus TTs were sold to civilians, expanding their use across farms, mines, and small towns. They became the backbone of the working-class economy. And because they were built with simplicity in mind, anyone with a few tools and mechanical know-how could fix or modify one, making them incredibly durable and self-sufficient. What's even more remarkable is how the Model TT anticipated the future without knowing it. It wasn't just a product of its time, it was a product that transcended its time. Think about how we view transportation today. Our world relies on delivery trucks, service vans, utility pickups, and cargo haulers. None of that would exist in the same way without the Model TT's template. Even electric trucks, hailed as the next big leap in automotive history, owe a philosophical debt to the TT: utility, simplicity, adaptability. Whether it's a Ford F-150 Lightning or a Rivian R1T, today's workhorses still reflect the DNA of their century-old ancestor. The steering wheel in the front, the cab-over layout, the front engine design, these weren't just features. They were standards set in motion by the TT. Every time a delivery driver drops off your online order, every time a contractor shows up in a work truck, every time a family moves cross-country in a U-Haul, they're tapping into a tradition that began with the Model TT. Its architecture became the backbone of how we think about and build utility vehicles. And let's not forget the culture it inspired. The pickup truck as a symbol of American grit and perseverance. The tradesman's vehicle as an extension of his craft. The small business owner's first fleet vehicle. All owe a nod of respect to the humble TT. The Model TT wasn't flashy or fast. It wasn't about curves and chrome. It was about purpose. It was about solving real problems for real people. And it did so with an elegance rooted in function. It's easy to look at old photographs and dismiss the TT as a relic, but to do so would be to overlook a machine that shaped the world more than most cars ever could. Its design spoke of strength. Its mission spoke of progress. And its legacy continues to roll on, quietly embedded in the soul of every utility vehicle on the planet. In a time when we celebrate hypercars and super luxury sedans, it's worth remembering the unsung heroes, the vehicles that built nations, not just impressed them. The Model TT was one of those heroes. It was a tool, a partner, a lifeline. It was the spark that ignited a whole new chapter in transportation. And in doing so, it left tire tracks not just on dirt roads, but on the pages of history. So the next time you see a truck loaded with tools, groceries, furniture, or freight, remember that it all began with a simple idea in 1917: build something tough, useful, and honest. That idea was called the Ford Model TT, and it revolutionized the world. The Ford Model T didn't just change how people got around, it fundamentally altered how things were built. If the Model TT was the workhorse that carried America forward, the Model T was the spark that lit the fire of modern industrialization. Before the T, manufacturing was a slow, artisanal process. Cars were handcrafted in limited numbers by skilled workers, which meant they were rare and expensive, exclusive machines for the upper crust. But Henry Ford had a radical idea. What if a car could be built not piece by one artisan, but through a flowing, segmented process where each worker had one simple, repeatable task? This idea gave birth to one of the most important inventions of the 20th century. Not a car, but the moving assembly line. Introduced in 1913, Ford's moving assembly line cut the time it took to build a Model T from over 12 hours to just 93 minutes. That wasn't just a boost in efficiency. It was a redefinition of what productivity meant. The world took notice. Suddenly, an automobile wasn't a luxury. It was a possibility for the average family. And in that possibility was the seed of the American dream on wheels. The genius of the assembly line wasn't just in speed, it was in affordability. By streamlining the process and standardizing parts, Ford could lower costs dramatically. A Model T that once cost $825 in 1908 dropped to under $300 by the 1920s. And with a fair wage of $5 a day, Ford workers could afford the very car they helped build. This created a feedback loop. Better wages meant more customers meant more demand meant more jobs. The middle class, as we know it, began to rise, one affordable car at a time. The ripple effects spread far beyond Detroit. Manufacturers in every sector, from appliances to textiles to food, adopted Ford's methods. The concept of mass production went global. Today's factories, whether they're building laptops in Taiwan or sneakers in Vietnam, or they're sold to the moving belts of Ford's early 20th century plants. Yet the Model T's magic wasn't only in how it was made, it was also in what it represented. Ford didn't chase luxury or ornamentation, he chased usability. The Model T was an instrument of freedom. Its high ground clearance handled rutted dirt roads. Its simple, tough engine ran even on low-grade fuels. And best of all, it was easy to repair. In a time when professional mechanics were rare, a farmer could fix his T with pliers, baling wire, and some grit. That philosophy, build it simple, build it strong, became the blueprint for generations of automotive design. It wasn't about chrome or plush seats. It was about whether the thing would start on a cold morning and get you where you needed to go. The Model T was function over flash, and in doing so, it created a new language of design, one that prioritized accessibility, practicality, and resilience. Designers took note. The T's boxy silhouette, with its upright radiator grille and narrow stance, became symbolic of the automotive dawn. But more than its looks, it was the underlying design philosophy that stuck. Durability, interchangeability, serviceability. These became the commandments of auto engineering. Modern cars may look sleeker and carry computers under the hood, but the DNA of the Model T is still present. When automakers today tout things like maintenance-friendly layout or reliable drivetrain, they're echoing the same values Ford embedded in the T over a century ago. And though today's roads are paved and our engines turbocharged, the essence of a dependable, everyday vehicle remains rooted in what Ford created in his Highland Park plant. Of course, progress didn't stop with the T. Its success laid the foundation for decades of innovation. As more people bought cars, the demand for performance grew. Engines became more powerful. Carburetors gave way to fuel injection. Bodies made of wood and steel evolved into aluminum and composite materials. Safety, once an afterthought, became paramount. Crumple zones, seatbelts, airbags, and anti-lock brakes all emerged as the industry matured. Yet many of these advances were responses to the mass adoption the Model T triggered. Without millions of people on the road, the pressure to improve performance, safety, and efficiency wouldn't have existed. The T made cars a part of everyday life, and with that came the responsibility to evolve them into safer, cleaner, and smarter machines. And what about the heart of the machine, the engine? The Model T's 2.9-liter inline-4 was simple, reliable, and designed for low-end torque rather than speed. But it proved what a small, mass-produced internal combustion engine could do. This sparked a century of combustion innovation. From flatheads to V8s, from carbureted to turbocharged, the engine evolved. But the principle remained the same: controlled explosions driving motion. Today's cars, whether hybrids or plug-in electric, still owe a nod to the early days when engineers figured out how to turn fuel into freedom. Even the shift toward alternative powertrains is an extension of the questions Ford was asking over 100 years ago. How do we move people more efficiently, more affordably, and more reliably? The modern automotive landscape still bears the fingerprints of the Model T. Walk into any factory anywhere in the world and you'll see a dance of conveyors, robotic arms, and synchronized tasks, a direct descendant of the moving assembly line. Today's cars are built in hours, not days, and delivered to global markets with surgical precision. Just-in-time manufacturing, lean production systems, and digital twins all owe their origins to the Ford assembly method. And just like in the 1910s, the goal remains the same: build better, faster, cheaper. But the Model T's true legacy isn't just technical, it's cultural. It changed how we live. It allowed people to leave cities, settle in suburbs, and explore their countries. It enabled road trips, new industries, and personal independence. The idea that anyone, not just the wealthy, could own a machine that let them go wherever they wanted, whenever they wanted, that idea became embedded in the DNA of the 20th century. The automobile became more than a machine, it became an extension of identity. And it all started with a Tin Lizzie rolling off an assembly line in Detroit. As we look ahead, the automotive industry is facing its most dramatic transformation since the Model T itself. Electric vehicles are surging. Self-driving technologies are pushing the boundaries of what cars can do. Connectivity is making vehicles smarter, safer, and more integrated into our digital lives. Yet amidst all this change, the spirit of the Model T lives on. Every electric car rolling silently off a production line is still part of Ford's lineage, still built for the same reason: to move people freely, affordably, and efficiently. The principles that guided the Model T, accessibility, simplicity, reliability, are the same ones driving innovation today. Tesla's mass-market Model 3 aims to do what the T did: democratize a new technology. Rivian's electric trucks echo the Model T's spirit of rugged utility. Even traditional automakers are returning to the roots of practicality, emphasizing function and durability in their EVs. The tools have changed, but the mission remains the same. And let's not forget the people. Behind every innovation are workers, engineers, designers, and visionaries, modern echoes of the men and women who built the Model T. Their tools may be digital now, their factories smarter, but the core challenge hasn't changed: how to build something that makes life better for millions. That was Ford's mission in 1908. It's still the mission today. The future of the automobile is thrilling. We'll see vehicles that drive themselves, talk to each other, and maybe even fly. But no matter how advanced our machines become, they'll always be standing on the shoulders of the Model T. A simple car, built for the masses, that reshaped an industry and reimagined the world. It taught us that innovation isn't just about what's new, it's about what's useful. That progress isn't measured in horsepower alone, but in how many lives you touch. So when you get behind the wheel, remember that you're part of a story that started over 100 years ago, a story written in steel, sweat, and vision. A story about a little black car that made the world a little smaller, a little faster, and a whole lot freer. The Model T isn't just a car from the past. It's a compass pointing toward the future. And its engine is still running, in every mile we drive, and in every dream we dare to build. Final review and call to action: how the 1917 Ford Model T revolutionized transportation. From the dusty roads of post-war America to the bustling highways of today's digital age, the story of the 1917 Ford Model T is one of grit, genius, and game-changing innovation. It wasn't just a truck, it was a movement on four wheels that reshaped the backbone of how goods and people moved across the world. Born from the success of the Model T and elevated by the power of purpose, the Model T brought with it the promise of a stronger, more connected future. With the simple yet revolutionary decision to reinforce a car for heavier loads, Ford didn't just create a vehicle, he created an industry. The Model T made it possible for farmers, small business owners, and industrialists alike to transport goods more efficiently, reliably, and affordably. It was the first true workhorse of the modern world, laying the groundwork for every pickup, delivery van, and transport truck that followed. It empowered the rural economy, boosted urban logistics, and helped weld the fractured geography of early 20th century America into a more unified nation. Its enduring legacy stretches far beyond its steel frame. The introduction of the assembly line for the Model T, an idea that also powered the Model T's production, was a seismic shift in manufacturing, slashing costs and democratizing access to vehicles. It sparked a chain reaction that extended across industries and continents, proving that smart design and streamlined production could change the world. It wasn't just a method, it was a mindset, one that lives on in every factory, every logistics hub, and every design room. Design-wise, the Model T carried the soul of the Model T, unpretentious, resilient, and timeless. Its no-nonsense approach to transportation redefined the value of functionality over flair, teaching the world that utility, reliability, and simplicity were virtues worth pursuing. Even today, echoes of its rugged DNA can be found in modern trucks built for towing, hauling, and delivering dreams. Technologically, the TT was a catalyst. It opened doors for innovations in engine power, chassis design, and cargo management. It dared engineers and entrepreneurs alike to imagine more, from combustion engines to hybrid powertrains, from manual steering to semi-autonomous systems. Every innovation that's brought us closer to faster, cleaner, and smarter transport owes a nod to the TT's trailblazing spirit. And in today's automotive landscape, where AI and electricity drive the headlines, the Model T still reminds us of where it all began. Mass production, mechanical reliability, customer-focused design, these principles weren't born yesterday. They were forged in the fires of the early 1900s, with the TT leading the charge. As we look toward the future of electric trucks, autonomous delivery fleets, and space-bound transport systems, let's not forget the humble giant that started it all. The Model T wasn't just a truck, it was a revolution on wheels. And its influence doesn't just live in museums, it roars quietly in every innovation that puts progress in motion. If this story moved you, inspired you, or simply gave you a new appreciation for the roots of modern transportation, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with fellow history buffs, car enthusiasts, and curious minds. And if you haven't already, hit that follow button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the vehicles that changed the world. The road to the future starts by remembering where we've been, and the 1917 Ford Model T is a destination worth revisiting.